Okay, welcome back to part 3 of the Kid Flash custom I'm working on for myself. So at this point, I'm going to start painting up the yellow on her. I decided the yellow will probably be better than trying to do the red. So what I'm going to do is give it a base coat of titanium gold from Tamiya. Get the yellow going all over there, do the bolts on the side. Once that's set up and dried, I can do a base coat of yellow. The reason why I'm using the Tamiya gold is because it helps make the yellow brighter, plus I don't have to worry about doing 30 layers of yellow to get over this red, or if you have a dark color. It's always better to use like some kind of like brighter color like a white or an opaque yellow to kind of just give you that base color so it makes life easier. Then once that's yellow's on there, I'll do some shadowing with this Badger orange, you know, because instead of using browns or blacks on yellow, which are muted, I want to give it that comic book feel. So it's good to use just like orange as a shadow, tone that down a little bit. If I decide I want any deeper shadow, maybe I'll go with like the burnt sienna hue from Golden I have. I'm not sure. We'll see how far when I get there. And then at the very end, once it's kind of that yellow where I like it, I'll mist on some of this Auto Air Colors metallic gold just to give it that spandex look and then flatten it down. So we're just going to do a fast video of the whole entire process. I just want to explain what I'm doing so it gives you an idea of, you know, how I get that yellow, bright comic book feel without, you know, trying to force that yellow with 30 layers trying to get on there.
One, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3. 1, 1, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3,
Alright, so as you saw, I pretty much, did the base, then the yellow, then I'd use oranges. I did use some of the deeper browns for inside the jacket area, and then I coated it up more with yellows, and I used some metallic yellows, and I just wanted to be like some kind of a suit, some kind of a superhero suit that a Flash could wear. So it's a little bit of a shiny at the moment. I'm going to dull it down a little bit, make sure I clear coat it and seal it, but I do like the color. So like with yellows, using oranges and very orangey browns, you can keep that richness of a yellow and still get some shading. The minute you use any type of a black or a blue or any kind of a really, really dark color, you just mute the yellow. And that's what you never really want to do. Yellow, you just got to kind of run with it. And orange is pretty much the best shadowing. Like even in comic books, when you see them doing yellow, and then you have some kind of an orange shadowing. The reason why is because even like for a printer, for comic books and magazines, it's the same principle. If you start using dark inks with yellow, it just gets muted up, and that's what you don't want to do. Any kind of a bleeding, any kind of it just doesn't work. So we got a nice shadow all over the legs. I did add a little bit of a darkness into back this area, because even though the muscle's here, when I shadow it with red, I'm still going to shadow that area and that muscle there with some kind of a black. So in essence, the shadow is going to hit the red, but it also is hitting the yellow. So you don't want to just do straight yellow and no type of shadowing. You want to hit some kind of a shadowing in those areas, because it's just more realistic that way. Still over here, so the muscle is higher up here, it's lower down here, so I put a little shadowing down there. So you have to, think about the bolts and stuff like that as well when you do the paint ups, because if you have a perfectly yellow bolt and a perfectly yellow bolt, and then all of a sudden you have all the shadowing, when you mask that off with blacks and reds, then all of a sudden it's like that pops out so much and it doesn't feel like it's actually wrapping around the figure. So you got to keep that in mind, especially also under here, they're shadowing underneath the boob area. So when I do the reds, there's going to be black shadows over here with higher light red here, so that black shadow would kind of go into that darkness of the orangey yellow here. And the same thing under here, I'll have to do that as well. So it's kind of like you keep it all fluid. You just got to make sure you do that when you're masking all this stuff off. So that's where I'm at with that. So pretty much I'll hit this with a dull coat, let it sit, and then come back to it when I'm ready to do it. So I think the next step though is once this is all set up and dry, I'm actually going to, of course off camera, it's just easier that way, I'll take my paintbrush and I'll put a paintbrush of black going in all the way around the edge, because if I mess up or anything, or if I hit it, I can do the yellow. And so you got to, just get in there and get that black line and go all around the edge just to make life easier. So it's always good to plan your attack when you do your statues. So that's where we're at, and we'll be back once I'm ready to work on some more. Alright guys, so what I did is I did some trimming around the yellow, as you can kind of see on the outfit. Basically I just did red in the inside, so this is a little bit easier now. So when I put the silly putty around here, I got the red trim going inside. Because it's kind of, if you do the yellow and then you just paint it red solid, then you got some errors in here with trying to get that in there. You might mess it up. So it's always a good idea to do it now and then put the silly putty over, so this way when you do the red here and you pull it up, you don't have to worry about trying to get in there with a brush and then accidentally get on the yellow later. It's just a little something easier. But so what I did was I had some metallic red paint from Garage Kit Colors, and what I did is I did the goggles. So I did the goggles on the metallic red, and then I used some dark brown orange, and I did the trim underneath the hair because it's easier to do that now. And I also did the black trim inside the outfit. It's just easier to get all this trimming stuff done now, so it makes easier, masking easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off the goggles now, and I'm going to use Alclad, and I'm going to use some Badger Red, and I'm going to use Future 4 polish. And I'm going to try to get these goggle parts, at least up here, to be like a little bit of a mirror shine. Since they don't, it's not clear resin and we're seeing the eyes, you got to kind of make up something with the paint. So I figured with the metallic red paint for the goggles, like the plastic stuff or the metal stuff is fine. But trying to get these two little pieces here, like a mirror shine, is kind of cool. So I'm going to mask it up, and then we're going to go and I'm going to show you in real time how to get that like little mirrorish look by using Alclad, acrylics, and the Future 4 polish, mixing it together. So let's get that all set up. Alright, so what I did was I did some clear coat on there with the floor polish, and I blow dry it, so it's got a little bit more of a clearness, smoothness to it. So what I do is I put a couple drops of alkali chrome in here, just a couple drops, and then some of this Badger crimson that I have. Just get it in there a little bit. Kind of shake it around. And then use the blow dryer. So you start to get a little bit of the chrome look, and it gets a little bit, but it's still kind of red, because even in the comic, it's a little bit red. So we do a little bit of that. Then we go back to the clear coat a little bit. Kind of going back and forth to get that little bit of that mirrorness to it, but still keeping it like a pinkish red, because you want it to have something going there. And let's see, color it. So I mean, it's kind of almost looks metallic-y, but with the alkali chrome, you're getting like an almost a shinier type chrome. So it's a little bit of like playing with it, a couple coats here and there. Going back and forth with the clearness. And once you get to the point where you're kind of happy with it, where it's not like looking metallic-y, but it's not looking just red, and you're getting that like goggle type shine. So when I don't know, I think maybe just a little bit more red. It's just a matter of keep playing with it. There we go, I kind of like that now. So it's just a matter of gonna blow dry it a little bit, make sure it's set before I try to rip off any of the, you know, silly putty. I don't want to, you know, pull up anything or scratch yet if it's still a little wet. So gonna blow dry a little bit, we'll come back once it's off. Alright, so there we go. As you can see, just a little bit of an alkali chrome with some red and Future 4 polish. You get a little bit more of a mirror shine on the goggle part. So that's what I wanted to go for, and I'm pretty happy with it. So next step is probably hair and gloves, and then move on to the rest of the body. But it's kind of, at this point, it's a little bit easier to do the gloves and the hair now, so I can still handle the legs without worrying about getting the red paint going. So there we go. We'll be back more with some more updates.